I know of simple things, and I just wanted to discuss something for once. I wanted to make an iceberg, but I wanted to make an actual iceberg idea. And when I wanted to make an iceberg idea, I wanted to let you know how crazy it can get. Okay? So that was my first idea, was to just try and think of this for you, okay? But it all comes from learning, seeing stuff, and knowing stuff, right? That's all it comes from. It comes from many things, right? But we are going to talk about this, and we are going to try and say this in the nicest way. And then eventually, if we say this in a nice way, who knows what can happen, right? Maybe something good can come out of this, okay? But we're going to talk to you about something I cannot wait to talk to you about, okay? Let me say something to you. It is very different that you want to listen to certain people, and certain people want to tell you the kind of things that they pay attention to, right? So there are certain things. But then there are people that just want to argue with your idea. You know, you're going to be in the challenge of somebody that wants to go and argue with your idea. There's going to be that person too. But who cares? Now we're getting scary, right? Who cares? Because they're not telling you anything. But guess what? I'm going to spend this time in this video to tell you something, okay? And that's what's going to matter. So we're going to get into this, and this is going to be really odd. So just get ready for this, okay? Where are we at, man? Where are we at anymore? We don't even know what we like anymore. That's what I mean. We don't know what we like anymore. Some of us know some stuff that we like, but we just don't know what we like anymore. It is kind of surprising to me that people are not understanding that we just don't know what we like anymore. We're trying to figure out what we like, but we do not know what we like anymore. And that's a problem right now that we have, okay? So we're going to talk about this. Pre-predictive listening. Oh, wow, what a great person you are. Way to be original. Way to be original. Way to do everything that everybody else does, right? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody else has been doing, you know, the common Karen, right? So you'd be doing the common Karen thing. But, you know, there's only so many times you can do that, right? So bravo. See what I'm saying? Now we're getting really scary, right? So let's try and talk about this in a way that I mean that we need to talk about this, right? There is no scheduled pre-predictive plan. You are not smart enough to make a schedule of a pre-predictive plan. And it's not going to go your way. And you're going to think to yourself that it's going to go your way, but it's not going to go to your way. And I'm going to give you an example. And this is the odd part about it. I'm going to use a video game, but I'm going to give it into you in a different way. We're not just going to be talking about the video game. No, we're going to be talking about what I think about this and what's going on about this, okay? Yes. A free Silent Hill game is good. It's a good game. Whoa, no, not this. No, not this. What about the Silent Hill game I go and purchase, right? But you're telling me the one that's free is the good one? What's going on here, man? What are you talking about with this, right? Well, I've been wanting to talk about this. And that was my idea, that I wanted to think about both of these subjects because I enjoy that they made a remake. And it does cost money. But I wanted to let you know what my thoughts were on this and my ideas behind this. And I wanted to let you know what I was thinking about this. And because I knew that there was a scary thing that could come about from it. So that was kind of my ideas that I wanted to talk about this with, okay? How long have we been in a medium of cash? We've been in a medium of cash for too long, wouldn't you say? I think that's why my whole entire tempo has changed, and I'm just trying to accept my tempo, but it's a crazy tempo. It's a smart tempo. It's not even crazy, it's just smart. But it's kind of a tempo I've been wanting to talk about, okay? Right now, we are trying to have people avoid things, and avoiding things is not good. And that's what's scary. We're having people avoid common things they could get themselves away from, right? Well, so happens to be that they're going to make a game that is free, and they're going to show the female-female concept, the lesbian relationship, right? So that is going to be welcome to us, that we're going to see the idea behind this, right? But guess what? This idea is crazy, and there's a certain reason we need to actually talk about this idea. We're going to be surprised when we talk about this idea. Right now, we have common signals. And common signals is really hard to talk about. Common things that you can see in front of your face. And they're very scary because they're common signals, right? But we're going to talk about something I want you to know about what they're trying to talk about. The reason they had an idea behind two females, lesbian kind of ideas, and transgender and all kinds of things. The reason they had some kind of crazy ideas like this was a crazy smart idea. It's a really smart idea that we don't really pay too much to, but once we figure it out, it's kind of a crazy idea in itself. Known as the stigma of falling in love. The common one, falling in love, right? Well, right now we have people that we don't even know what to do with these kind of people. These kind of people should really be loving us, but they're not loving us, right? So these certain people do not love us, but they are in our world, right? They're kind of like a thing that's not making sense in our world, right? So this is what I'm trying to tell you why it's so scary, right? This thing happens where people are not loving the person, but instead of not loving the person, then the person is going through some experiences they should never go through. But since they're going through those experiences, that's the kind of thing we have to deal with, right? Yes. So we have to deal with that. And maybe, just maybe, that's the problem with the overall thinking of a human, right? But God is very nice. God is a very nice, this spiritual, I don't even, just the devotion of it. You know what I'm saying? The whole entire devotion of it. The good idea behind it. The good idea that there is hope, right? So this is the kind of things that we have to talk about, right? When we choose to ignore certain things, and for whatever reason we have this idea that we want to ignore something, or we just don't want to be about it, or we don't want to think about it, that becomes a problem. I'll tell you what this means. This came to me at an early part of my life, and I still need to do a little bit more research into it, but it is pretty crazy. We're just going to speak about it. And once we speak about it, it's going to make sense, okay? Right now, our choices are crazy. So we're trying to make good choices, but we can't make good choices, right? So we're trying to make good choices, and we can't make even good choices, right? So that's another problem that we're going through, right? Is we're just trying to make a little bit better of choices. Now, it's really hard to make better choices, especially when you try your best for the person. But, there's only so many things you can do to get that person's attention. And then you will, if that person's different from your energy and you both have different energy, it will be a different kind of thing that happens. And there really won't be anything that can be happened, but you'd be trying, because you love that person. So that's the problem. So we're right now into the step of love. We're telling you something scary of what the step of love is, and we're trying to talk about it. And that's the hard part, is we're trying just to get into what this means, right? Well, the meaning is that we have senses. Now, senses go into the wrong person, and sometimes the wrong person can't really handle senses, right? So we have two things that are going on. We have the person who can tolerate senses, and then we have the person that just can't tolerate senses. We may even have a third person, right? But we have, for now, we're just going to go with this two plan, right? We have the person that can't tolerate problems of senses, and we keep ignoring that too. We keep on not thinking about that there are certain people that just can't tolerate it, right? There are certain people that don't want to be into that. And that's another thing that we have a problem with. So we have two different kinds of people. We have a person that does not want to be in that, and then we have a person who's accepting. Is accepting that, not to give up, right? But then we have the other person, when it happens to them, it's a bad experience for everybody. And this is what's really rude about this, is this is going to show you kind of like what people really are. And then once you start to see what people really are online, that's kind of the worst part. But that's kind of the thing that happens. You're trying to go into smart things that are happening, right? So this is the kind of thing that we're going to get into, okay? So this is the whole reason behind this video. This video is supposed to also, just help you out a little bit, help you out just a tiny bit. I cannot believe I have had the rare occurrence in my life of thinking of something of this and thinking about the idea of how I could help you out with this, okay? Because that was by far the worst thing, is that I was going to end up going in my life to try and figure out some way to help you out with this. But I already knew how crazy it was going to get. But I just didn't know it was going to be this easy. You know what I'm saying? That was the kind of thing that I had with it. So I wanted to talk to you about it. And examples. The example is that the human has not accepted it. Sometimes the human just does not accept it. But then when they accept it later, it becomes a problem. See? So they accept it when it becomes a problem. So now we're going to talk about it, okay? We are going through dumb but easy things. Easy but dumb things. We're going to talk about, this is going to be pretty crazy. Communication. Oh my gosh, communication is crazy. Is it not? Communication's really messed up. So we're going to get into this, and everything is going to make sense. It's just going to be pretty much out there. And we're just going to get into little steps. We'll come back to this video later, but we're just going to talk about the first one because the first one is really odd, and we're going to try and talk about it, okay? So practice. We make a practice, and we make the wrong choice of a practice, but then we still have to try and figure out something with that choice. See what I'm saying? And that's the problem. We have nothing that we can figure out that choice due to the way that everybody works. So certain people work in certain ways. It's not making people happy, and then it's making people uncomfortable. So since you bring an obstacle to make something that's uncomfortable to somebody, that obstacle is not met. And then we're left with these two people in conflict. Yeah, conflict. And we sadly should not be in conflict. That is the worst part. We should not be in conflict. But here we are, right? Here we are in conflict for no reason. And we're just trying to figure out how we get into these spots and what's the conflict and how do we get out of these spots, because they're really difficult spots to get out of. But we're going to talk about it, and we're going to say something about it. The thing is that we need to have people get away from choices. Do you get what I'm saying? We have to get people, they're going to make a choice, but we also got to get them away from the choice to try and make something out of nothing, right? So we have to try and figure that one out. That one's the hard one we have to figure out. The one that we're starting to figure out is that when we make a choice, we have to be acted upon our choice. And we have to stay with our choice and love the person and care about the person. But if we don't end up doing that, then guess what that means? You know what that means, right? That means that we have uncertainty, the actual word uncertainty. So the first choice, the problem is the person can't go through the other choices due to they're scared. And it feels like to me that the person does not realize what that means, that the person is scared. So that's the whole problem with their choices, right? So nobody's understanding that. That's a pretty easy one. So that's what I'm saying. The first step is a choice. And the problem is there's a problem that stops the choices. So that makes the person uncomfortable and does not make the choices go through. But this is what we're going to start to talk about, okay? This is going to relate to somebody, believe it or not. All this evil, crazy, wild talk is going to relate to somebody. It's going to make them figure out what's been going wrong in their life. And that's kind of the crazy thing, too. We have to talk about this in hopes that somebody will see this. And then somebody will make a choice of what they want to make with this, right? So that's the hope that we're trying to do, right? But we're going to talk about it, okay? The reason that we are talking about it is there's many choices. There's many ideas that come about, right? But here's the thing that we are trying to talk about. We are trying to get this common person that has not foreseen what they need to see. And now if they can see what they need to see, then that will be beautiful. Won't that be such a beautiful thing if somebody actually ends up seeing that? That'll be one of the greatest things ever, right? It'll only come in time once we figure that out. Okay? So, but we need to think and figure that out, okay?
But that's the hardest that part is we're not having people think and figure that out. And that's the problem that we're running into. We're not learning from our choices, right? And we're not having the person that needs to see something. But you know what's crazy? Is we have to get away from marketing. Marketing is interfering in actual choices of humans. Humans are being affected by market. So right now we are also having humans be affected by market. It's not going good for us. So we have to try and make some kind of little idea. And it starts with just a simple little tip right now. And here's the little simple idea of a tip right now. The idea is the choice that we made, we need to try and make a good choice that's going to be happy for the person. And we're going to have to try and figure out to make the right choice. Because if we start to make the right choice, our first choice being the right choice, then just maybe we don't get the bad results that come with the choices, right? And then we get away from that and we get the good choices. But this has been kind of the thing that I wanted to talk about. It's such a difficult thing to talk about, but it started with this. And I think it started with the idea behind this due to that I felt so bad for a person that I know of. There's a person in my life that I knew of that they made me feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? There was a certain kind of emotion I had. There's this emotion that I had. It was pretty scary because I could I could look at them and I could see what they were going through, and I was like, this is not the life they chose, right? This is not the lifestyle they were welcomed into. And I only wish they could have listened, but it's really hard for a human being to listen, But then when you see it in front of your face happening to the person, that's the biggest problem. So that was kind of the thing. I think I've seen it many times, and I'm just kind of but there's certain things that go about it when you see it. You're just like, this is the time when I have to make the right choice. So that's why we're going to be talking about. Now we're going to bring in the simple example, right? Alcohol, cigarettes, just certain little simple things, little tiny things, just tiny things, right? But if you know that person and you have a choice with that person, see what I'm saying? And for some reason there's a choice that you have with that human being, this is where we're beginning to get at. This is where we're going to get away also from bad people. See what I'm saying? We're going to get away from bad people and we're going to make good choices. But this is by far the first step that we need to do. Because right now the market is changing to try and make this more and more happen, right? So let me try and tell you what I mean by this. I mean, it is your step of action to know what's going on. As soon as you see somebody drinking alcohol or you see somebody smoking a cigarette, you need to make a choice, but you need to make a good choice. And you need to make sure that's the right choice, because if you don't make the right choice, it's going to hurt. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to hurt. So you better start making the right choice when you're in front of that kind of person, okay? So when you're in front of that person, you have to try and make a decision by this, whether it be ignoring them or my favorite, my favorite is you ignore them, right? And that's normally the easy answer. Sometimes you're going to have to try and make a message to certain people. Now, if you don't make that message to that certain person, you're going to be stuck. You're not going to be closer to your loved ones. You're going to continue and do the wrong thing over and over again. So that is kind of a practice that we need to go back to. It's one of these common practices, but it's a practice that we need to talk about. And this is just step one out of many steps, right? But this is a common thing I wanted to talk about that I've learned over the years. And I've always known about it, but it's always just kind of worried me. And we're going to talk about it. That's the reason we're going to discuss about this. Okay? And it's beginning to make sense. And the worst part is it's beginning to make sense. You understand what I'm saying, right? So the worst part is it's beginning to be a thing. That is the problem that we have right now. Isn't that stupid? It's a really dumb, easy one like that. That's the first dumb one that we have. We have a bunch of dumb ones, I'm sure. But we have just a simple thing like that that's going on, okay? Now, that's going to be very emotional for a lot of people due to every kind of choices that are going on, right? So that's going to be a thing that's going to have many people think about different things of their life. But I think the reason I came to something this intelligent was I was wanting to talk about what could be going on with you right now. That was the hardest thing about this video, was like just saying to you, like being like, they will begin to see this and they will not even know what's that. You will be started on a whole entire another place of what's going on, right? By the way, we had to talk about this eventually. Because there's problems where people even try to avoid the good option, right? So we do know of that too, and the people want to go out and avoid the good option. But that still does not mean that we don't try to think about what this is, okay? It's time that we start to think about this. Yes, sadly, we do run into we choose the good choice, and the person we learned that this person's just lost. But sometimes we have to get them lost. We have to figure out some way to get them lost. If we don't get them lost right now, it's gonna be bad. So we have to try and make them figure it out, and we have to get them away from their choices too. Because that's the hardest part too, is we're not getting them away from their choices. And right now they're thinking of something that's not even mattering to them. So they are thinking of things they don't even know about. Okay? So that's the whole point. They are trying to think of things that their friends have told them. They're people that they call friends. But that's what a person's doing, is they're trying to tell them. See? So this is the only thing that we can do right now. And it's probably one of the most difficult things, because it's going to be really hard on a lot of people. But it's just the first thing that we can do. So I've thought about this. And I hate this one so much, because it's so... it's such a puzzle. You know what I'm saying? It's a very puzzling one, right? But does it make sense? Yes, it does. The beautiful thing about it, where we actually say beautiful, because I love saying beautiful, because people get so indifferent about beautiful, the word beautiful. But the thing about it is that now we're here. And now this is the step that we can do. This is eventually the step that we're going to have to try and figure out. It's the only thing we can do for them. It's going to be really hard for them to get to it, That's the difficult part, is can they get to this? But, this is the part that we have to get to. If we don't start to get to this part, nothing else is going to happen. This is called attacking the program. This is the only way we can attack a program. We have to attack a program. Now, if we choose not to attack this program's going to keep going to people. People are going to keep getting this program, people. And then people are just going to get this program. And once they get this program, this is what's going to happen over and over again. So this is the first step of speech to going into this. We're going to have to try and figure out something just as simple as this. And it's good that we learned it this way, okay?
Because right now we've been combating it. Do you understand what I'm saying? We've been letting this thing just continuously find its way. So this is the only thing we got right now. It's making sense, though. You could argue I need some work. That's why I'm saying for the next videos, we'll be talking about something else, right? But for now, this is the only one, and it's kind of right on the money. But it's pretty brutal. I know it is. It's a brutal one. And it really makes me think about a lot of things, because there are certain things I think about, Actually, you want to hear something too? It's been the first step in my life, rather than thinking about myself or thinking of opinions, It's just been like one of these first steps that I will tell you that if I have applied this in the right way, I find somebody that I spend my life with. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of another idea of just trying to think about how difficult this thing is. So that's what I'm trying to tell you about, okay? So right now, we're going to take this as a tutorial, Just take this as a tutorial, see what we can do with this, okay? And this is going to open up a lot of other things, okay? But this is probably, in the longest way, going to be the first thing that's going to make us happen to get to it, right? We're going to learn and learn and learn from all of our mistakes and try and get to this. It's going to be crazy. I already told somebody, I'm going to tell you something funny too. I already told somebody about something of this, and they just don't get what I'm saying, and that's the problem. And like, when you don't have somebody that they're not getting what you're saying, this is kind of the thing that happens, So, like I'm telling you, there's going to be times where it's difficult also, it's just going to be difficult. But this is what I was trying to say to you, is I was going to say, this is a beautiful thing, right? Because we're going to get away from people that right? We're going to get away from people that are taking a spot of it and not turning it in a good way, right? That's going to be good too. So we needed this to happen eventually. Hey, you want to hear something crazy too, by the way? We're going to get done with this right now, but I want you to listen to this. Recently, I think I figured something out. And I think since I figured something out, you're going to be happy with it, right? So I figured something out where I was in a certain point in my life, and I think you're going to be really, really happy about it. Isn't that cool? That's cool, right? So thank gosh I still paid attention, right? I paid attention. Oh my gosh, it was right there in my face too, by the way. This was like months ago, maybe a year. It was literally like a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago. So I'm happy to announce what this is, right? See, this is the first step, right? I'm happy for a tutorial just to begin this way, okay? This is really the only thing you got, and it's kind of funny. I do find it funny how simple it is a little bit. But what I do like about it, let me try and tell you what I like about it. I think what I also like about it is the communication. Trying to get you into the right kind of communication, right? So that's a pretty cool idea. Communication is very difficult. Very, very difficult. You can have, you know what I'm saying? You can have like a conversation where you have a good conversation with somebody, but still, there's still some things you have to watch out for, right? But it is kind of nice that you do have this tool. So having this little tool is going to matter. You know what I'm saying? This tiny little tool is going to help with all the other problems that are going on, right?